would we have been more successful if we didn't have kids young? People think that you have to be fully stable, financially stable in every aspect to get married. You need your whole life to be perfectly set up in order to bring children into the world.
Success is about balance. Knowing when to put time into vacation, knowing when to put time into your work, into yourself, into God.
This is the one job in the world that you cannot take a maternity leave. There was a moment where I was a little bit lost when it came to my channel. Aaliyah was born. Most people thought I was this like 16-year-old trendy girl. All of a sudden it's like, no, like I'm a mom now. I want to dress differently. I want to act a little bit differently. I may have been a super successful fashion YouTuber if I didn't have kids, but that wouldn't have made me happy. Well, hey babes.
What's up?
It's Haley.
And Ellen.
And welcome back to the Hey Babes podcast. You guys, I am so excited for today's topic because we're going to be doing a really deep dive into something we actually get asked a lot. And those are questions about just being young parents in general. I don't know, would you consider us young parents? I guess so.
I think, yeah, I was considered as young parents. Also, like, I think it's more the fact that we got married young too.
Yeah, we got married. We were 21 years old. I literally just turned 21 3 days before our wedding. And as much as you guys may have heard our story about our infertility, it took us a couple years to get pregnant with our first baby, then we had a miscarriage, and then Aaliyah came along. If you guys haven't heard that entire podcast, it's one of our first few episodes.
Yes.
I really love that one. But today we specifically want to talk about something that I actually get a lot of DMs about, and that is everything to do with how I balance work life and mom life, and how parenting our children kind of like plays out with our jobs, because Erin and I both own our own businesses.
Yes, both entrepreneurs.
Exactly. So we're really excited to get into that topic today, talking all about the ins and outs of having kids young. And we're really going to break it down and answer one question.
Would we be more successful if we didn't have kids young?
Because let's be real, a lot of people look at kids as something you do kind of like when everything is settled, you know, when you've achieved your dream goal, you've got your amazing job, you've got your perfect house. It's like, okay, now let's have kids.
Or if you feel like sometimes like your kids hold you back.
Exactly.
A lot of people would say like my past clients that I've had, they would say, oh, like if I have a kid at this age, it's going to hold me back from achieving all this other, so I'm going to just wait until I do that, and then I'll think about having kids.
So as you guys know, Eran and I really have a lot of different insights on how we look at life and how we kind of look at every decision we make. And obviously having kids was a decision that we came to, especially having kids at the age that we did. So we would love to break down kind of like our reasons for having kids young and the value we see in it, and truly if we feel like it has stopped us in our career of achieving our dreams and achieving our goals.
Yeah, and again, this is not to tell anybody like you need to have kids young, or if you're not having kids this time, like it's going to affect your goals, whatever. It's literally, we're just talking about what has worked for us and what we see value in, and just telling our experience through there. And if you can see, I guess, any pluses or anything that you agree on with it, then great. And if not, like, again, you do you, it's all good. This is just us sharing our experience.
Exactly. So as you guys know, Erin and I have been trying to have kids for so long, like as soon as we got married. And I want to say that it's really crazy to think if we had kids in the moment, as soon as we started trying, our lives would have definitely been a lot different. I do think that God has a plan, and throughout all of this conversation, just know, guys, that we genuinely believe that God has a plan for everything. The point that we got pregnant, the point that we had Aaliyah, the point that we had Naomi, like everything happened for a reason, whether we planned it or not. So the first thing we want to kind of cover is, what do we view as success? Because I'm sure success seems so different to so many different people. You can see so many podcasts and people talking about this person became successful by making $1 million in 2 years.
Yeah.
I personally don't view as like making a lot of money or being really successful in your career as success.
Yeah, because I feel like in today's time, like with like TikTok and like Reels and whatever, like you see all these like,
that seems to be everybody's goal.
yeah, the success is like you graduate, you drop out of school, and at age 18 you open up your own business, and
innovative,
you
creative,
grind nonstop, team no sleep, and then you end up making like 100K in the first month, and then you're driving Ferraris and you're going on vacations, all that stuff, and people view that as success, you know, but we don't necessarily feel like that's our point of view of it. Again, if that's how you view it, great, that's your goals, but for us, we don't view success as that necessarily.
How I personally see success is in living my day-to-day. Am I being the best mom I can be to my kids? Am I being the best wife I could be to my husband? Am I being a positive role model to the people watching me on YouTube? Am I being someone that God can be proud of and saying, this is my child, this is what she's doing in the world?
Are you,
you know,
the best daughter you can be, the best sister? Like, I feel like success is becoming
the best version
of yourself that you can be, right? And for us, that all correlates with everything, with our work, with our kids, with our relationship with each other, with our relationship with our friends.
I would say that success is not what you have, it's who you are.
Who you are, what you do, what impact you have on others. And I think for us, we view things as we don't live to work, we work to live.
Yeah.
Right? Our jobs, everything that we do is to be able to provide a life for our kids, to provide a life for ourselves, to provide an income for ourselves that we can be able to host people in our homes. And
like let's say it this way. A person can have a lot of money and that money can really like liquidate into nothing. You could spend it on materialistic things. And hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Like buying yourself, I don't know, a luxury purse if it's something you've been really wanting for a long time. Egan has a dream of getting a BMW one day.
Yeah,
like,
and that's still my dream.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Like you could definitely invest your money into like those things that are considered materialistic, especially if they bring you some sort of like
as long as
accomplishment.
As long as it gives you some sort of accomplishment, but it doesn't like, I guess, feel to your ego. If you're thinking like, I want to get this car to like prove people that I'm successful and like it's gonna give me fill in this void that I have, that you're doing it for the wrong reasons.
You have to look at how a lot of people sometimes think that like if you're someone who's like more religious and stuff, you have to live like a very, very quiet life. You're not allowed to show your success. And it's not necessarily true. Like you could still have a beautiful home, but why? To host people, to invite people in, to like have people like spend Shabbat at your house, for example. Again, these are just our experiences, you know? Yeah. You're allowed to invest in materialistic things if you
choose it to elevate it, I guess.
To elevate it, exactly.
The spiritual thing, you know what I'm saying? Like if your goal, like for me, my goal, Bizashim, God willing, you know, one day my dream car is always to get the BMW M3, M4. Not to have it for a long time, but just to lease it for a little bit or drive it for a year and then give it just to get it out of my system. It's always been my dream because I love cars in that sense. And it's not for me to get it to like show people like, oh, I'm successful, like I'm driving this new whip, blah, blah, blah. It's more for myself. Like I just want to enjoy it, you know? I'm not a type of guy that spends money on materialistic things, clothes, stuff like that. I don't care for that, but that specific thing, it just what gives me some little bit of a motivation. But before that, my main goal is my kids. My main goal is my wife. My main goal for my business is to be able to send my kids to a Jewish school.
That's
to be
expensive.
able to it's expensive. To be able to send them to a good daycare, to be able to go on trips with them and not have to worry about financial things, and to be able to live in a stress-free, I guess, income, so that
our energy could be focused on something
our
else.
kids, and I'm not focusing like 10 hours, 12 hours a day on my work because God forbid we can't make ends meet. If that was the case, God forbid, I'll do whatever it takes to be able to provide for my family. But again, I'm working to provide for my family. I'm working to be able to provide for my communities. And that's the main drive. And when you look at it in that way, it's not about how much successful you are or how much success you have in your life. It's about how much blessing you have in your life and how much blessing God is putting into your business, into your home, into your family, you know?
So if I can like look at my career right now as a YouTuber, whatever it may be, as you guys know, this was not something that I like planned for myself. I kind of just fell into it. You know, I think I just uploaded at the right time and somehow God made it be successful. We personally, and as you guys know, you'll get a little bit of like our little religious spiels in these podcasts. We're never trying to convert anybody. We're just totally teaching you the values that we believe in. So there's two things specifically that come to mind that I know in Judaism grant you blessings, and that is marriage and bringing kids into the world. Two things that are very not easy to do, especially if you are someone who's lived your entire life on your own, only answering to yourself. Now you have to share your life with another person. And instead of spending your life making you the best version of yourself, you're spending your life making your spouse the best version of themselves, and you're playing off of each other. So when it comes to kids, think about it. Until they're at least 18, it's all give.
Yeah,
like
they're all dependent.
It's all dependent on you. All the energies, the sleepless nights, feeding, like really, you do a lot as parents. A lot. And I really feel like that should definitely be commended. So in my mind, the way that I looked at my YouTube channel, I wanted to, this podcast as well, actually, I want us to debunk all of these things that people think that you have to be fully stable, financially stable in every aspect to get married. You need your whole life to be perfectly set up in order to bring children into the world. All your kids really need is love. And support, and to feel like they're taken care of. That's literally it. I know that everybody's life situation can be totally different, but
Yeah.
having this perspective of I can only get married once I have a ton of money, once I have my own car, once I have my own place, once whatever. And that's kind of like what you were enforced to think. Like you got to have everything set up in order to start your life. But I think it's just so much more beautiful when you and your spouse come together and you start building your life together.
Yeah.
You know, literally, Erin and I built everything from the ground up with God's help. Like we never did it on our own, but like we started living in my parents, then we rented, then eventually bought a house, and like so many of these blessings came along the way. And you would think that having kids would have stopped that, but if anything, it's made it better. Because the second thing is that bringing kids into the world is a lot of blessings. And Erin, what are some blessings that we've had, like as soon as we got pregnant with Aaliyah, for example?
No, even before kids, like the fact that we got married, that's when like we saw that the channel was starting to go viral.
I don't think people know that.
No.
You guys, it's insane. I started my YouTube channel, I want to say like a year before we got married. Erin and I were just engaged. And I was posting, the videos were doing well, but like nothing significant was coming out of it. And then I remember there was like a skincare video that I posted.
Yeah, any
and-
OGs, OGs.
Yeah, I'm so
like
embarrassed about that
before
video.
the thrifting or whatever that followed Haley when she was the skincare girl.
Oh my gosh, yes.
That's like you're a true Haley's Corner
I'm
fan.
telling you, so I uploaded this video. For 5 months, it was live on my channel, and it was whatever. It had like 1,000 views or something, and it went nowhere. Erin and I got married that year, and I want to say like 2 weeks after.
No,
Oh,
babe.
a few
It
days.
was literally like
2 days or
a
something.
few days later, like on our flight back from Israel, we got married in Israel. Like literally a few days later, like we just got married. A few days later, on the airport, Haley's like, "Huh?" Because she connected to Wi-Fi in the airport, and she's like, "I'm getting like a lot of notifications on YouTube." I'm like, "Why?" She's like, "Oh my gosh, one of my videos is like going viral." I'm like, "Why? How much is that?" She's like, "It has like 10,000 views." I'm like, "Oh wow." She's
That's
like,
a
"Yeah,
big deal.
I just gained like 1,000 subscribers. Like holy crap!" And then went on the flight. Flight's like a 12-hour flight.
By the time we landed, I think that video had like 600,000 views or
No,
something.
man, not 600,000.
Okay, it had a
was
lot
like
of views.
100,000.
Okay.
But
a week later, it had
100,000 for like
Yeah.
back in 2018 or 19. That was like a big
Right.
deal. And
that
then
video now has like over 1 million views or something.
yeah, like
for
fast
sure.
forward, like within a few months, it hit over 1 million. That was like a jump start to
the channel.
you
And
know?
it's like from that video, my channel started growing. And from that video, people started getting to know the name Haley's Corner. That was just like one of the examples. Guys, that video was uploaded 5 months before we got married. What are the chances that all of a sudden my business would like start up as soon as we got married?
Yeah.
It's insane.
And even for me, when I was doing personal training, like I was doing a little bit of personal training before we got
You
married.
hustled in the
But I
beginning.
hustled, like really didn't. It didn't go. And then once we got married, and I'm like, okay, I need to do it full time. Like that's when the clients came and the blessings came, and it just goes to show that like, again, God will give you things when it's needed. And in our case, when we got married, that's when we say in Hebrew, mazal, like Hashem opened our, I would say luck, but it's not really luck because it comes from God to bring more blessing into our work.
You know what I think it is, like religiously that we believe? It's that we had faith that Hashem would kind of take care of us. You know, it's like if this is what He wants for us, He wants us to start a family and He wants us to get married and have a union, because it's a very, very holy thing to to be in a union. So in my mind, it's just kind of like, okay, like he has to take care of us. This is what He wants, you know?
Hashem
So-
says, listen, don't have intimacy till marriage. Okay, great. So we need to get married to do that. All right, great. And then you get married, you need to have some sort of income. You can't just be living on like whatever it is. So Hashem's like, get married, find the right person, you'll have success and you'll be good. And we took the leap and we're like, listen, we know we're great for each other. We want to go in the way of God.
And it wasn't an easy moment, guys. Like I was still in school. Evan was literally like a takeout boy at a restaurant. Like we were not in a financially stable place at all, but we still took that leap of faith. We're like, you know what? God's got us.
But we had
We're
to
good.
do our ishtadlut, we say in Hebrew. We had to make the effort
Our
though.
effort,
Like
of
you
course.
did, you're uploading your YouTube thing while you were
I
in
was
school.
still working.
I still hustle for personal training. Don't get me wrong. It wasn't that like as soon as I got married, I got 10 clients ready to go, and I still worked my butt off. But you learn that I guess it like shapes you and creates your work ethic and your character.
Of course.
And then from all that, it led me to what we do now. And I feel like in the end of the day, like now leading up to our kids, with Aaliyah, as soon as we were pregnant with Aaliyah,
All of a sudden,
all
yes,
of
it
a
was during COVID time, let's just say.
but we were able to generate enough income to buy a house.
Yeah, during COVID time was like the peak of my channel, and we were literally able to make enough money to afford to buy a house. Like if you guys remember my renovation content of the house stuff in Toronto, I was like 7, 8, 9 months pregnant during that time. I was literally like washing the floors while I was like about to pop, you know? And I really feel like as soon as Aaliyah came into our world, it's like she just brought so many blessings. And like, even with the videos, everything just became so clear to me as to what I want to do. And I think your business was even taking off even more.
It was everything was taken off. And
yeah,
even with Naomi, we were able to move into this house, and like even the day-to-day income, because moving from Canada to America, I guess expenses are much higher, especially in USD.
Definitely.
And then like we were not even concerned. Listen, we're still gonna have another kid, and we want to continue to have more kids in the future, God willing. And we didn't even think about financially if it was a thing.
That's what I'm saying. I don't want you guys to think that we're telling you have to go into this kind of stuff blindly, because that's definitely not the case. You need to have some kind of a plan, but just don't be scared. That's what I mean. Just don't be scared. Like, kids don't need much, you know? If you're a mom, if you're breastfeeding especially, it's just this. And I'm pointing to my chest, you know? But I'm just saying, like, that is literally all you need in the beginning. Lots of love, lots of support, and support from your spouse is definitely important. And I just don't think that it's stopped my success in a way, because I will tell you guys, there was a moment where I was a little bit lost when it came to my channel. Aaliyah was born, and I was like, wow, all of a sudden I went from, like, most people thought I was this like 16-year-old trendy girl. All of a sudden it's like, no, like, I'm a mom now. I want to dress differently. I want to act a little bit differently. I want my values to, like, I want my daughter to watch my videos and be proud of what she's watching.
Just have a role model that she follows.
And I'll tell you what, as much as during that time, my video views obviously went down, because listen, like, a lot of people followed me for my, like, aesthetic clothing and definitely my body type before I was pregnant, which definitely, like, it makes sense, you know? So at some point, the views were going down, but I've noticed that the community on YouTube has become so much stronger, because people have started watching me for me, which is honestly the goal of every YouTuber. Like, it's so easy to have people follow you for shallow things like hauls and skincare and like things that makeup, you know? But when people start following you for you, to see your relationship with your kids, to see your relationship with your spouse, to see you do like
your
everyday
fashion
things.
stuff is still great. You still do it,
of course, but
and it's still part of you, you know. But you have other things going on other than that. You know what I mean?
So in a way, you guys, I feel like I may have been a super successful fashion YouTuber if I didn't have kids, but that wouldn't have made me happy. I feel like it would have been so. I wouldn't have been fulfilled.
You wouldn't have felt more purpose.
Exactly.
You know, and I feel like now we have more responsibility, and again, the responsibility is a lot more pressure. It's a lot more
100%.
stressful. It's a lot more draining. But like that,
we're opening ourselves up also to be vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
To share like how we are with our kids. Like, so many people have critiques and commentary about everything we do and everything we say.
But that purpose is what gives us the drive to like wake up in the morning, to be able to do the things that we do, to be able to like pray to God more, to like just pray to like, you know, our kids are safe and they're growing up in a good environment, and we're doing the best we can as parents. And again, we're working to the point that we're just providing for our kids, but we want to have a good balance, right?
Yeah.
We want to make enough that we can support our kids, support our home, whatever, to be able to take trips with them from time to time and do all this stuff.
And that is the goal, you guys. Like, something that
balance.
I always wanted was to be able to show my kids good experiences. And I think especially because of the fact that we're like more observant Jews, we have a lot of restrictions. We can't just take any cheap vacation. We can't just go to any restaurant. We got to go to kosher places, and like we got to figure out our vacation so that Eran has a place to pray and everything. These things get really expensive, you know? Jewish school is very expensive. So that is my goal. That is my motivation, you know? Making money, working so that we can give our kids the best life that we can give.
Yeah.
Not necessarily so that we can have a beautiful house, which is nothing wrong with that. I love having a beautiful house, as you guys know, but it's more for the sake of like, I want a bigger home than this one, not just because I want a bigger home, not because I want a bigger kitchen, because right now we don't have a dining room, and I want to be able to have a dining room so that we can host a ton of people on Shabbat, you know, and we can bring people in. Like, that's the whole point for us.
Yeah,
you know?
like if we had an option, like if I had an option, like, okay, I can get his BMW and pay this much a month, or I can send my kids to a private school. What's more important? You know, like, am I doing this for myself, for my kids? I'm like, no, I'm going to send my kids to private. That's more important. Unfortunately, you see...
Well, Jewish school, not
Jewish school, yeah, Jewish private school.
Because for us, obviously, that's a value, right?
And you see some people that they... Again, I'm not trying to bash anybody, but there are some people that I've witnessed that they would send their kids to a non-Jewish school, public school.
Which we went to, by the way.
Went to public school, yeah.
Schools,
but in general, they just say, and then they're driving a fancy car. And like, no, private school's too expensive. I don't know what to say, but like,
it's just the decisions of where you're prioritizing to put your money.
It's like
which
the car is for you personally. You can get a little bit cheaper car, but send your kids to a better school, or you could drive a fancy car, but you don't really
And the
necessarily
only
care
reason
where
we're
your kids
saying
go.
this, by the way, is because the area that we live in, the public schools are very terrible. So I'm not saying public schools are bad everywhere.
No,
Most people go to public schools.
We just want our kids to grow up in a Jewish environment. It makes sense. If you're Catholic, you want your kids to grow up in a Catholic environment. Like that's what's important for us. We also want our kids to marry Jewish because that's a very important thing in our culture and our religion and everything. So it's more likely to happen if they're involved in that environment, you know?
Yeah. I mean, your sister right now goes to public school and she keeps saying that she has no Jewish friends. Like nobody understands. Nobody understands what Shabbat is. Everybody goes out to restaurants and nothing is kosher. And like, it's very, very hard to grow up like that. As much as like we don't want to shelter our kids to tell them, like, we'll obviously tell them like what our life was like going to public school and everything. But
at that time, our parents didn't have the financial means to send us. So it's a different story.
All I'm just saying is that our purpose in the success or our purpose in like wanting to attain our goals is so that we can provide the best life for our kids. So like we said, we are working to live, not living to work.
Yeah.
And going into that, I actually want to break down to you how I want to say working life is with kids at home, because I'm sure a lot of moms can relate to this. Because as you guys know, Naomi has been home like the whole first year that she was born. And it's definitely been a challenge for the fact that I am a stay-at-home mom as people see me, but I'm a working mom. I think that social media and content creation is one of those jobs that like nobody, unless you're in it, actually understands what goes into it. Like the only hire that I have for Haley's Corner is my editor Lauren, who is amazing, but every other aspect, everything Instagram related, I do on my own. Editing reels, filming them, planning them, everything related to brands, contacting them, reading contracts, like giving concept ideas, getting the product, filming the thing, everything that's on me. And having to do that with having Naomi at home has been such a challenge for me to balance, because one of the worst things for me, or the mom guilt that was seeping through, is that I would be working, then putting Naomi down, and then working a little bit, playing with her for a second, feeding her something quick, putting her for a nap. Like it just felt like everything was so like a robotic routine, but I wasn't spending quality time with her. What's even worse, because I wasn't able to finish my work when Naomi was home, I would have to either work once Aaliyah came home from daycare, so then I barely spent time with Aaliyah.
If it was urgent, if it was urgent, if not, you wouldn't.
Yeah, I wouldn't. But something I would do every single night is I would stay up till 2, 3 a.m. And Erin can attest this, because I always wanted to make him feel bad. So I would literally text him when I was done so that he knows.
She literally sending me like a sleeping emoji at like 3:14 in the morning.
Just so he knows what time I go to sleep, so he can see how hard I hustle.
So I can be like, all right, babe, sleep and I'll deal with the girls today.
Exactly. But I'm telling you guys, like, that's not healthy. Like, it's what I needed to do, but it's not healthy. Getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep every day is not healthy. And the reason I had to do that is because this is the one job in the world that you cannot take a maternity leave. Yeah. I can't just disappear. I literally gave birth. Oh my gosh, Ehan, you know what just came to mind right now? If you guys haven't seen my labor vlog with Naomi, I was literally editing a video while I was having contractions. And then once I had the baby, the next morning I was like finishing editing the video, because I'm like, yeah, this video has to go up today. It's a brand deal. Like literally, it's insane how much this job intertwines with your real life. And it's a very, very hard thing to balance.
Yeah. And then a lot of people might say like, you could have just stopped. Like, it's okay. We understand. Like, we get that. But at the same time, we feel like we have an obligation to do it. We wanted to do it. Like we wanted to do it. But at the same time, it's hard. It's not like we're like complaining about it or whatever. It's just like,
no, it's literally, guys, this is the best job in the world, and I would not change it for anything. I can make my own hours. I get so much creative freedom. I don't have to answer to anybody, but I have to answer to myself. And that is the hardest thing to do sometimes, because then I don't know how to turn off, because I keep thinking if I do this for a few more hours, I have less work to do tomorrow, but then it never stops.
That's the thing. When you do a thing that you enjoy, that's the thing. That people say like, if you do what you love, you'll never get tired or whatever. Not true. No, you can do things you love and you still get tired from it. I do personal training. I love doing it. But like after a few clients, I get burnt out. Like I'm tired. I need to do a rest. I'm not like 24/7. I can work, right? So I think that's the thing. When you do something that you enjoy doing, it still tires you. But you're like, okay, I'll just do one more. I'll just take on one more client. I'll just do this,
and it
whatever.
never ends, because again, you're only answering to yourself.
Exactly. If I hated my job, then I'd be like, okay, I'm working 3 hours. I don't want to do it anymore because I'm already done with it. The less amount of times I can do it, the better. But when you love what you do and you enjoy it, it's a bit different. So it's all about just finding the right balance of it. I think, especially now, me going back to personal training, I wasn't able to just be at home and work with Haley. And then when Haley was doing her thing, I would be with the kids. I also have my own business again now.
Yeah. Yep. I feel like there's a big aspect of like finding fulfillment, and I think I was just getting so stressed with my work. And on top of that, my quality time with my kids was not quality time.
Yeah.
So Erin and I made the decision, we actually mentioned this in a recent vlog, that we are going to send Naomi to daycare. And I don't know why I get like, I cringe at myself sometimes when I say it, because in my family, it's very normal that people, like kids get sent to daycare. But a lot of people apparently don't send their kids to daycare until they're like 3 or 4 years old, which is great for them. Like they wait until they go to kindergarten or preschool.
But it all depends on the situation.
It depends on the situation, but I always feel guilty, babe, that like because I'm at home, I feel like I have to keep my daughter at home with me, you know?
I know, but I think you feel that more guilty because as a mom, you biologically and in general, you have more of a connection and feel more guilty about it because you breastfed, you gave birth to.
I know, but I think
so
it's
you
just
have more of
the
a guilt because you feel more. It's more of an attachment because it's.
I understand, but I also sometimes feel like if I had a regular office job, I wouldn't feel guilty about sending Naomi to daycare because then I'd be like, I'm out of the house anyway. It's not like I can watch her,
Yeah,
you know? But I feel like now I'm going to stop feeling guilty about it because I'll tell you guys some things that have gotten better since Naomi's gone to daycare. First of all, she has like a steady routine now that she's kind of like getting used to, which is great. And the fact that she goes to daycare, I'm able to have hours. For the first time in my life, I can work from 9 to 4. And once they're home at 4 o'clock, I'm done. I'm with them. I'm focused on them. I try my best to keep my phone away from me. Any emails can wait because, again, I have my hours, you know? And not only that, I've actually been able to like catch up on things that I've been wanting to do. The podcast, we restarted it during this time. I'm posting more reels. I'm more active on my socials, and like
You're getting more house stuff than that's been.
I'm finally done unpacking the house. Woo, mazel tov, you know? Like there's so many things that I think that for the longest time I kept trying to tell everybody or show everybody that I'm doing it all. But you know what? It's okay to sometimes step back and just say, you know, it's good for me to be able to separate my work life and my family life. Yeah, and as a YouTuber and a vlogger, it's so important to do that.
Yeah, and I think also it wasn't also like fair for Naomi because like it was like a half here, half there. Like you would feed her, you put her down, she played by herself. You're like answering an email that people are sending you, like it's urgent, can you respond? You're like okay, and then again you're like okay, she has a nap. You brush her a nap. You're like okay, have an hour, and everything's all stressful. And like, you just feel like you're dividing your attention from your work.
If there's anything I can say is that the best thing your kids can have is, say it with me, a happy mom, a stress-free mom, a mom that is fully invested in her kids. And I feel like the one way you can do that is by taking care of yourself. So whether you are somebody who is trying to, I'm not saying send your kids to daycare, you know, even if it means like, hey mom, can you watch her for half the day?
That's the thing. We don't have that luxury. We don't have the luxury. That's also the issue.
Daycare, it's nothing.
It's daycare. They're here. Like Haley's mom is in Canada. That's a 3-hour flight. My mom is in Miami Beach, which is like again like a 50-minute drive, 45-minute drive. So like it's not so simple. So in our situation, I guess it also depends on your situation. We don't have younger siblings to help us.
Babe, honestly, I'm done excusing it.
Yeah, but you don't need to.
There's nothing wrong with it.
You don't need to.
Nothing. That's like she's the happiest kid. Like we see the pictures of everything they do. They do yoga and they do drums and like they do so much fun stuff. Leo started like walking, talking, thriving, getting so social in daycare.
As long as your kid is in a good environment, they enjoy it, whatever, and you can afford it, of course.
My one point that I wanted to really drive home with this is that moms, dads, please take care of yourself, whether that be balancing your work life, going for a massage, taking an hour, go to Target by yourself, whatever you need to do to put you in a good mindset so that when your kids are home, they're getting the best version of you. That is the best thing that you can do. And
that's the I guess what we're trying to push out a lot is to say all these type of things is to create a better version of you. So you being the best mom, if that requires you to have a little bit of a work-life balance, is that if that requires you to go to the gym for an hour, if that requires you to go shopping for an hour to allow you to come and re-energize and be the best mom you can be, then do it. That's the whole idea. And that's what I was noticing with Haley, is that when she was having Naomi at home, she was always stressed out. When Ali would come, she would be stressed out. Her head would be about emails and videos and uploading, talking to her editor.
With the kids.
And it wasn't good. And their kids weren't getting the best version of her. And as soon as Naomi was in daycare, it just created like a whole work-life balance, you know. And I think that's the best idea, is that if you want to be successful, it's about successful of having balance. And even vacation, people say like, I don't want to go on vacation, spending money, I need to put on this. Is no, vacations are okay too. Just go
Why are
with
you
your
okay to invest in something else but not invest in yourself,
going to vacations here and there with your wife, going on date nights with your wife to not allow you guys to rekindle that fire that allowed you guys to be together in the first place, in order for you guys to have that peace with each other. So when your kids wake up in the morning, you're with them, you're not like at each other's throats in front of them. You want to have that balance with everything. I think that's
100%.
what this whole thing is. Success is about balance. Success is about knowing when to put time into vacation, knowing when to put time into your work, into yourself, into God. God is in everything. When it comes to all this stuff, it's in everything. He tells you
100%.
we say mitzvah, which is a good deed, to work. It's a mitzvah to raise your kids. It's a mitzvah to go out with your wife and set time to her, talk to each other, And even for me, for example, when I wasn't working with Haley, when I was working with Haley in Haley's corner and developing all the things, I was losing myself, and I started to realize that I wasn't becoming the best version of myself as a husband, as a father.
And we didn't have at some point work relationship balance.
No,
that was an imbalance for us.
Exactly.
Because it was just going off like the relationship. It was more work.
Exactly.
And I think that's why me and you were kind of like struggling with that a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think only when you officially made that decision that you don't want to work with me anymore. Again, he's still part of a lot of aspects.
Yeah, I'm still part of the vlog. I'm still helping and everything.
He's not doing the behind the scenes stuff that he was doing before, which I think is good. And honestly, I love you, babe.
Thank God.
But I'm thriving right now
I
that
agree.
you're doing your own thing.
I agree,
actually
babe.
miss you.
That's a thing. We miss each other. Now we were like, let's go on dates more. Let's do this. Let's spend more quality time with the kids because we don't see each other 24/7. And on top of that, like in the beginning, it was a bit tough because like I left Haley's corner and then I wasn't getting as many clients right off the bat because again, I came from 8+ years of experience, fully booked in Toronto, like doing very well, thank God. And then I had to start fresh here and I wasn't getting clients as fast. And so in the beginning, I was like noticing myself being very sluggish, not being as motivated and whatever. But then as like thank God, I just kept my head held high. I'm like, God will give me clients at the right time when it needs to be. Like I'll just be grateful for that one client I have and the second one. And thank God it's become more busy.
As soon as we put Naomi in daycare, both of us, you started getting much busier client load. I started like getting much more consistent with my postings.
Yeah.
Hence,
and then more fulfillment. Then
Yeah.
Haley was even telling me the other day, she's like, Eden, I've seen like, thank God, like now that you're working again and like you have clients, you're having your fulfillment from work, you're a better dad, you're a better husband. You come to the kids in a better mood. Like you're learning in the Torah, your prayer and everything are much better because you had that you time for your work. And again, it's not like I'm now working 8-7 hours a day. I'm working enough that I can provide for the family and have fulfillment for myself. But then when my kids are home, that's it. I'm not working anymore. I'm taking clients around the time of my learning, of my praying and everything, of my wife.
In the morning while they're in daycare. Or
and then as soon as the girls come home, I'm not working. I'm with them. My attention is to them. And yes, I might have to sacrifice that when they go to sleep. I might need to work a little bit at nighttime. But I have that balance with my wife, with my kids, my friends, with God. And that's what it's all about,
Yeah, I really, really think that through this podcast and honestly, every conversation that we have, this is what I want to get to. An end point, us answering a question together. Would we have been more successful if we didn't have kids young? The answer is no.
No.
Because our kids are the reason for our success.
Yeah.
Both religiously, that's how we feel. But even like they have become our motivation and our driving force to keep going and to achieve what we're achieving with God's help.
So for us, it's not even success. It's like since having kids, we've seen blessing in our life, and then it's gone into our work. We've seen blessing into our work. We've seen blessing into our family and our home and our relationships.
Because there's a reason now for why we're doing the things that we're doing.
Because again, you can make a lot of money, but if there's no blessing in the money that you make, it doesn't go anywhere.
It's not even that. You could make a lot of money, but it's like, what are you even going to spend your money on? I mean, like, you could take so many vacations. You can buy all the luxury items, but it's like, really, is that going to fulfill you? Like, it's possible.
No,
it's
some
gonna
people
give
get fulfilled from it. It depends how they're raised and everything like that. But I think for us, like, would you rather work 3 hours a day or let's say 5 hours a day and make the same income, or work 12 hours a day and make the same income? Obviously, you're going to choose a less amount, right? But the thing is, when you're not working, what are you doing with your time after that? Are you just on social media just scrolling countless hours on end, or trying to fill in your void with other things? Or Are you taking that time that when you're off work, spending time with your wife, getting to know her in the day, spending time with your kids, getting to know them,
and if you guys are not in a relationship or in that stage, like, are you there for your friends? Are you there for your siblings? Are you there for your parents? Like, are you creating like memories that you're gonna like look back and say, you know what, in 2023 this happened.
Are you there for God?
This is what I bought.
Are you there for God? Are you there in your community? Are you praying and are you united with other people? Are you going to like certain things that you're invited to? It's all about that work-life balance, but it's all about making the time to do useful. And you can also have time for yourself for however much time, an hour or so, just to be with yourself, to recharge, especially if you're not a social person.
To be alone.
But it's all about having a well-balanced thing and realize, what am I doing and why am I doing it?
I think end goal is what you can do to always better yourself. And if you are someone in a partnership with a spouse, what can you do to better the other person? Because people need each other, especially when you are raising kids and all that stuff. You got to rely on each other. But I hope you guys really enjoyed today's podcast. I think that we covered a lot of good ground. This was definitely one of our deeper talks. We've had a few funny ones. The next one will probably be a funny one. But comment down below what else you guys want us to talk about, because your ideas really, really help us out. And genuinely, you guys, I am so happy. And I feel like the most successful person in the world, because I love my husband, I love my kids, I love my family, I love our community, and I love our social community. You guys are the kindest, sweetest people. If you're listening up to this point, you're the real MVPs. We love the ones to stick around all the way till the end. If you guys are watching up to this point, comment down below, #bless.
Very cringe, very
old school,
bless.
But let's bring it back. And if you guys are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, please leave a rating on our podcast. We are over 100 ratings on Spotify, which is amazing. Thank you guys so much for all your love and support. Subscribe to this channel if you guys are new. We upload every single week. And with all that, we can't wait to see you, speak to you, and hear you
in our next one.
Love y'all.
Peace out.
Why do we always say peace out?
I don't know. I like to say peace out.